Dicaprio's hidden habit: heal yourself by healing the planet. Have you ever wondered if your small, exhausted life could echo louder than the engines tearing forests apart? Have you ever looked at Leonardo DiCaprio and thought, what does he know about saving a world that's already collapsing under our feet? What if I told you his greatest secret isn't his money, nor his movies, but a habit hidden behind cameras, behind headlines, behind the same plastic oceans you pretend not to see? They say one man alone can't fix anything, but they never say what happens when one man plants an idea so stubborn it cracks through concrete. They told you that only activists matter, that only billionaires can buy redemption for the mess you keep feeding with your coffee cups and half-eaten promises. Yet here you are, scrolling, breathing, forgetting, while someone you'll never meet is planting forests in your name, speaking for rivers that still remember your plastic bottle. Why does he care? Why does a Hollywood face stand in swamps, reeking of oil and hope? Why does he waste fame on inconvenient truths when silence pays so much better? And here's the fracture you won't fix by watching this video. Halfway, because buried in Dicaprio's hidden habit is a truth you'd rather not face. Healing the planet is not about money. It's not about awards. It's not even about him. It's about you and what you do after 30 seconds of knowing theirs. No one else coming to do this for you. Asterisk, the ocean doesn't forget somewhere behind. Every wave that curls and dies at your feet lies a story you chose not to hear. The ocean does not scream when poisoned. It swallows quietly, hides the poison in the belly of whales, stitches plastic into coral wounds. Leonardo knew this silence when he first stepped onto shores blackened by oil flashbulbs catching the guilt in the corners of your eyes. He stood there so you could stand here safe, distant, scrolling, pretending your plastic bag was too small to matter. But the ocean doesn't forgive ignorance dressed as innocence. Every drop remembers. He does not wear his habit on a golden pedestal. He lets it sink where your conscience drifts when you drink from bottles meant to be disposable like your worry. A single turtle choking on your convenience is not just a headline. It's a mirror, cracked enough to reflect your habits back to you. DiCaprio's documentaries are not films. They are confessions you have yet to sign. Every scene is a tide pulling you further from the shallow comfort that your straw, your cup, your silence is harmless. He stands knee-deep in this water, so you can drown your excuses. What does the ocean whisper when you pretend it's endless? It hums a truth DiCaprio plants in every microphone he holds, that your thirst for cheap comfort floats in jeers larger than countries, that your plastic toothpicks pierce more than gums. They carve promises into fish that never learn to taste your guilt. Each speech he gives isn't for accolades. It's an attempt to hold your gaze long enough to see your reflection swirling with the currents you flush away every time you call convenience your birthright. He doesn't beg you to save the sea. He dares you to stand where he stands, soaked in shame you can't filter with hashtags. He reminds you that tides don't ask permission to rise. They come for your doorsteps, your streets, your safe illusions that the ocean is someone else's responsibility. DiCaprio's hidden habit is simple. He trades applause for salt. 4. Standing where it stings. It's for showing you that a man who could swim in money chooses instead to swim in truths too. Heavy for your bathtub-sized conscience. Ask yourself this. When did you last taste the salt of consequence? Not the sea salt you sprinkle on your fries, the salt that bites your tongue when you speak a truth that costs you comfort. DiCaprio licks that salt every time he shows up where oil spills, where reefs gasp for breath, where fish carry microplastic messages meant for you. He does not ask you to follow him. He dares you to stand beside him. He knows the ocean remembers footprints more than footprints remember tides. Your footprints fade, but the bottles stay. Your straws drift longer than your tweets about. Leonardo's habit is not radical, it's relentless. It's the ritual of returning to the same poisoned shore to remind you the ocean never agreed to be your garbage can. He does not pose for pity, he stands for accountability, the rarest currency you still hoard. Like it can't be lost with every wave that licks your lies clean. What would you hear if you pressed your ear to the sand he walks? The hush of coral dying? The crackle of waves sifting plastic ghosts? Or your own heartbeat stuttering when you realize the ocean doesn't need saving? You do? He stands at the water's edge to drag your attention back from a world that sells you emptiness. wrapped in loose promises. He is not the hero. He's the haunting reminder that you still have time to choose a different tide. The ocean does not want your pity. It wants your absence from its wounds. It wants your hands empty of excuses. DiCaprio's secret is that he knows he is not enough. He never pretends his millions can buy absolution for your billions of daily betrayals. His habit is the refusal to look away when you do. His ritual is the inconvenient truth that echoes in every bottle that floats past him. While you scroll for the next distraction, he asks no permission. He gives no absolution, plants seeds in salt water, and trusts the current to deliver them to shores you may never walk. But the question drifts back to you like driftwood too stubborn to sink. What will you do when the tide comes for your door? Will you stand dry, far from consequence? Or will you learn to wade through your own plastic confessions, barefoot in the truth he's been drowning in for decades? Because the ocean does not forget, the ocean does not forgive. It waits, patient and rising, carrying every plastic promise you ever threw away. And Leonardo stands where it whispers your name, not to shame you, but to ask the only question that matters. What will you do when your footprints wash away, but your waste does not? Forests don't applaud. You walk under trees you did not plant and call their shade your right. You breathe air filtered by lungs you've never thanked. Leonardo learned early that forests don't clap when you drive past them on your way to concrete kingdoms that choke on their own ambition. They stand in silence, hold secrets in bark rings older than your family name, then fall soundless to you, thunderous to those who know how to listen. He doesn't chain himself to trunks for show, foons whispers in jungles you can't pronounce, pays guards to stand watch where your grocery list has never dared to wander. But here's the twist. The money is not the habit, the attention is. He pulls your eyes to the ash you'd rather sweep under global headlines. Every time he steps onto a stage, he drags a forest with him, not as scenery, but as accusation. How many trees did you burn this morning with your choices wrapped in plastic, boxed in carbon footprints that you pretend dissolve when you hit by now? Forests don't weep when the last bird flies. They adapt in silence, even in ruin. Leonardo's voice cracks that silence so you might hear the shriek buried in your receipt. Before the flood did not end, when the credits faded, it lingered. In the lungs of every tree cut to make room for your urgency. It haunts your pantry when you stock it with hunger you never feel. Not like the jaguar that lost its hunting ground. Not like the tribe that watched green kingdoms collapse for your cheap beef and cheaper thrills. He does not stand above the canopy to pose heroic. He crouches among roots. Searching for seeds you trample without noticing. Every acre he saves is not a gift for you. It's a ransom paid to delay the funeral you pretend will never reach your doorstep. Your air is borrowed. Your shelter is borrowed. Leonardo's habit is not to remind you, it's to force you. To breathe deeper, feel the weight of chlorophyll inside your lungs like a debt you keep ignoring. What does your forest owe you? Nothing. What do you owe it? Everything you have forgotten how to spell. Reverence, restraint, renewal. Words you toss aside for convenience. DiCaprio's forests do not stand untouched because he loves green postcards. They stand because he knows extinction isn't poetic. It's silent, final, irreversible. It cannot stop you from lighting the match. He can only stand where the smoke starts. No. Coughing truth you pretend is fog. He could have stayed in penthouses and premieres. Instead he stands in jungles where the soil clings to his shoes, where mosquitoes remind him that life is small, fragile, easily swatted, but impossible to resurrect. You watch him speak and applaud his sacrifice, but what do you sacrifice? Your forests are not his burden alone. He does not inherit them, you do. And yet your hands remain clean while your appetite stays gluttonous for land that never belonged to you. He tells no fairy tale. He plants no lie. His habit is to hold up a mirror of leaves. Look, see a reflection stitched between branches that once sheltered stories older than your cities? Each chainsaw's roar echoes louder in the silence of your denial. He funds patrols, lawsuits, documentaries, but the real patrol is inside your wallet, your plate, your vote. He knows the forest does not applaud his efforts. It waits for yours. So what will you tell your children when they ask why the wind feels hotter? Why birdsong sounds like an old recording you can't replay? Will you blame someone else? Or whisper Dicaprio's habit like a confession you never had the courage to make your own? The forest's question is not whether you watched before the flood. It's whether you turned off the credits and planted something real in the dirt of your routine. One man with money can build fences, but 1 billion careless hands can burn those fences to the ground with the heat of their indifference. Leonardo doesn't preach guilt for guilt's sake. He breathes responsibility into your ears until you choke on your excuses. The forest stands as judge and witness, and he stands inside that courtroom, reminding you, silence is also a chainsaw, because the forest does not applaud, it watches, it waits. It remembers every footprint you leave between roots. And when the last tree falls, the echo will not be Dicaprio's speech. It will be the silence you paid for with your denial. Asterisk. Fire doesn't lie. There's a flicker in your mind when you light the stove, drive the car, scroll your phone through. Endless nights of artificial glow. Leonardo knows this flicker. He knows fire is older than your excuses. It burns clean only in fairy tales. In reality, every flame writes a debt across the sky. In carbon, you pretend the wind will erase. He stands where the fires rage in forests too dry to whisper enough. His eyes squint not from flames, flashbulbs, but from embers carried by winds. Invited through your hunger for more, he does not sit behind conference tables to nod politely at your pledges. He walks where ashes cling to boots, where children cough, because your comfort costs more than you dare admit. Every spark from your daily routine dances in his documentaries, spinning stories you wish were fiction, but sink into your lungs with every breath. Fire does not lie. It writes truth in smoke you call progress, while glaciers weep in languages you refuse to translate. Dicaprio's habit is not a lifestyle. It is a wound he chooses to press, day after day, so you can see the pus of your own neglect. He does not stand alone. He drags your gaze to every island drowning under the weight of fossil fuels you claim are your right. The fire does not care for your right. It eats forests, cities, generations. It flickers in headlines you scroll past with a sigh, too shallow to quench its appetite. He knows you think you're too small to matter, so he grows bigger, not an ego, but an echo. His voice carries flames to stages, screens, summits, hoping the heat will finally crack your cool detachment. He does not wish to be your hero. He'd rather be your interruption, the question that ruins your comfort like smoke seeps under doors you thought were sealed. Ask yourself, when did you last feel heat that wasn't plugged in, controlled, safe? Leonardo stands where safe burns to ashes, where safe drips oil into rivers, where safe is a lie only your thermostat believes. He carries fire not as torch, but as mirror. Look, see the blaze licking the edges of your denial. Hear the crackle behind every knot. My problem, he doesn't need you to worship his words. He needs you to feel the blister that truth leaves when you dare touch what you've hidden behind convenience. His fire is not just climate talks, it's every whisper he plants in your guilt. Every time he trades red carpets for rainforests, interviews for infernos, he asks you the question you pretend is rhetorical. What if it's already too late? Do you feel the heat yet? Not the warmth of your blanket, but the burn of responsibility when you realize you light the match every time you choose cheap over clean, easy over enough. Dicaprio's habit is not guilt-tripping. It's flame truth. A ritual that scorches illusion and leaves only choices behind. Blackened but honest. You wish fire were simple, that you could snuff it with donations, with slogans, with borrowed virtue. Leonardo knows better. He knows fire doesn't bow to hashtags. It eats your comfort whole. His legacy will not be the awards on his shelf. It will be the burn marks he leaves on your conscience. Reminders that you cannot buy back a scorched earth with your savings account. So next time you strike a match, start a car, flick a switch, hear his question in the hiss. Are you warming yourself or burning tomorrow? Because fire does not lie. It only asks for more. And Leonardo stands where the flames lick your future, daring you to feel the heat before it becomes the only thing left. Asterisk seeds in the ashes when the last tree falls and the last ember cools. What remains is not silence. It is seed. Leonardo knows this better than most, that hope is not a speech but a habit. He bends over scorched earth where your footprints fade and plants green where you left gray. You think hope is soft, he knows it is claws, roots, teeth, that bite deep into soil charred by your distractions. He does not trade his face for your comfort. He trades it for a chance that one of your kids will breathe cleaner than you did. When he stands on stage, the spotlight is not for him. It is a sunbeam forced through smog to feed saplings you forget you need. His habit is not charity. It is survival paid forward, a gamble against your addiction to easy endings. You want him to be the hero so you can stay the spectator. He refuses. He plants seeds in your excuses. He buries truth in your appetite for convenience. He waters guilt until it sprouts as responsibility. His forests are not fairy tales. They are warnings wrapped in green so you don't choke before you change. He has seen fire swallow mountains you can't name. He has walked among ashes that used to hum with insects, birds, secrets whispered through vines. Where you see dirt, he sees a nursery. Where you see loss, he sees a dare. Prove this blackened ground wrong. His seeds do not beg for rain. They demand it, and so should you. He plants not to redeem himself, but to remind you that redemption is not a hashtag, but a shovel in your hand. A decision to get your knees muddy while your mind races with excuses to stay clean. He kneels because the earth is not a stage, it is an altar. And his prayer is made of roots that split concrete in silence. You wonder what good a seed can do against a wildfire. He answers with forests where no flames have walked for decades because someone chose to plant instead of pretend. His foundation is not just paper promises, it is sweat turned to shade, coins turned to canopies, fame turned to fuel, for those who dig where no cameras linger. Do you believe yet that one man's habit can be your habit, that one seed can grow into a canopy wide enough to shelter doubt and still outgrow it? Leonardo does not plant for applause, he plants for tomorrow's breath. He bets you will thank him with hands as dirty as his. One day, his seeds grow in soil richer for its scars. He knows the ashes are not the end. They are the proof that life can rise where you swore nothing could. He does not ask for your worship. He asks for your hands, your feet, your sweat. He asks that you stand in the burn zone and choose. Green anyway, when the stage lights die, when the speeches fade, the seeds remain. They do not care for fame. They care for rain, for sun, for time you claim you don't have. Leonardo's habit is to remind you that the earth is patient, but your children's lungs are not. Plant something, tend it, let it outlive your excuses. He knows the forest you save tomorrow starts with the seed you bury today in dirt, in habit, in your refusal to pretend the ash is someone else's problem. The question is not whether the seeds will grow, it's whether you will. Stand still long enough to let them. The habit that outlives you stands still for once. Hear the earth breathe beneath your concrete floors. Leonardo does not beg you to worship nature. He begs you to remember you are nature. Wrapped in glass and wires, suffocating inside the comfort you mistake for freedom. His habit is to remind you that your lungs are not separate from the trees you forget to name. He speaks not in slogans, but in deeds. Buried like roots beneath headlines. Every dollar he plants grows a branch you will never see, but your child might touch. He knows that legacy is not a word, but a wound that can heal if you let the soil reclaim your arrogance. His foundation is not marble, it is mud, sweat, rain, collected in the hollows you ignore. What good is a star when the sky is on fire? Leonardo flips the question. What good are you if you do not burn for something that cannot burn back? He holds up oceans, forests, species like mirrors. Look what you're losing. Look what you're wasting. Look what you could save if you broke the habit of apathy. He does not stand alone because he loves the spotlight. He stands alone so you might feel less alone when you decide to stand too. His habit is a dare. Ruin your comfort. Ruin your excuses. Ruin your illusion that someone else will fix what you keep breaking. He ruins your sleep with truths that sprout in dreams you wish were lies. And when you wake, the habit follows you. In your groceries, your fuel gauge, your trash bin, you carry his echo every time you buy what you don't need and toss what someone else could plant. You don't want a lecture, he knows. So he gives you forests instead. oceans, glaciers, habits that wait like seeds in your guilt. Every speech is a spark. Every project a root. Every documentary a torch you can't watch without feeling the heat under your fingernails. He burns politely, but the burn stays. Curls around your choices, your comforts, your Sunday excuses. It reminds you that nature forgives slowly, if at all. Leonardo's habit is not to save you. It's to show you the path where you might. Save yourself if you dare lose your excuses along the way. He's not your savior. He's your alarm clock ringing long after you hit snooze, louder every time the tide rises. Every time the forest falls. When the credits roll, his habit is what remains. Not his face, but the question he plants like seed in your sleep. What if you lived like the earth depended on you, because it does? His habit outlives him. It outlives your denial. It waits at your doorstep like a sapling begging for rain. And when you finally choose to plant, to tend, to stand among ashes and whisper grow, you become part of the habit. You become the echo that outlives you. Leonardo DiCaprio's gift is not fame nor fortune. It is the permission to remember you are still wild enough to save what you almost let burn. Asterisk. The echo that doesn't breathe, not the stale air of closed rooms, but the breath that remembers forests, oceans, and flames that do not lie. Leonardo never asked to be your hero. He asked to be the crack in your certainty. The whisper under the door, when you swear no one's listening. He knew the earth would speak through him, if only for a moment, if only to remind you that silence is not peace. It's permission for the fire to grow. You stand now at the edge of your own comfort. Toes curled on the scorched ground he showed. You, the trees he planted, bend above your excuses. Oceans he shields lap at your promises. The glaciers he mourns drip into your veins when you close your eyes at night. Wondering if your children will ever taste ice that doesn't sting. Of loss, you carry his habit now, not because you chose it, but because you heard enough to know you can't unhear it. His documentaries were not entertainment, they were mirrors. Speeches were not applause lines, they were seeds thrown at your feet, daring you to kneel in dirt you called inconvenience. There is no backstage here. There's no final credits that wash away responsibility. The stage is yours now, and your hands are empty until you decide to plant something in them. Leonardo's foundation is not just his. It is yours every time you say no to easy plastic, cheap oil, quick pleasure. It is yours when you trade comfort for conscience. Listen to the echo. It hums in the engines you start each dawn. It flickers behind the screens that promise connection but feed disconnection. It howls in forests you pretend are far away, yet breathe inside your chest. The echo doesn't die. It waits. It waits for your habit to bloom. You wish the problem were bigger than you, so you could stay small. But Leonardo cracked that lie wide open. He showed you the map inside the wound, the root under the ash. He turned fame into flame so you'd feel its heat each time you tell yourself someone else will fix it. Do not thank him. He doesn't need gratitude. He needs your grit. He needs your restless nights turned into restless hands. He needs your sighs transformed into seeds, your guilt mulched into resolve. He needs your new habit to outlive your old excuses. This is not a goodbye. This is a door left ajar in your mind. A green door, a burning door. Step through it with muddy boots and trembling hope. Step through it carrying water for what you once let burn. Step through it before the echo fades behind more news you scroll and forget. And if this fire flickered true inside you, do not leave it here. Let it leap. Share this voice. Comment your own promise below. Subscribe not just to this channel, but to the raw, messy habit of being alive enough to care. Because Leonardo's echo alone is noise, but your echo added to his is thunder. Be the thunder. Be the seed. Be the habit that outlives you.